All right, Robert. Listen, man. What do we have to salute with? Just water. It's been one of those long weekends.
Shout out.
Thank you to IKEA. They really giving those out? Where's mine, man? They better still be some there.
No, they're gone.
I need to fill that up. I'm gonna buy a SOS one. Okay. Like we've done so many, like on Zoom, uh, in person on my little flimsy camera, but not like a real sit down. And even the 30 minutes or whatever this will take is not doesn't do justice. But I mean, people should know who you are. But why are you known as the sponsor monster affectionately? Because let me explain. He's one of the first like sponsor level people that's willing to discuss things and willing to be like site centric. And I've seen him at the site. So our first significant trial at Yuma Clinical Trials was because of Robert. And I was like a little bit nervous about that. Like, hey, I never heard of this company. Like, I have rules about this. But I was also like, I know we can do the indication.
Yeah.
And when you're like, all I need is like 8 to 10 patients, I was like, nah, I know we can do that. We could have done more, honestly, but we did it. And you gave us that faith. Smith's like, it was like his fourth study, but his first like real one where we could make actual revenue.
Yeah.
And from that, we were able to hire staff. And so you're actually like an instrumental part of the YCT, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And that's when I first heard of you. Like, you reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I was like, okay, that's cool. He's local. Like, he's going to come down. 3-hour drive.
Yep.
It's not like it's a 20-minute thing. 3-hour drive with the CRA. That CRA must have been nervous as hell, man. How did that work? What was that conversation like?
Actually, I didn't drive with her. I met her in Yuma, which was
Lucky her.
yeah, lucky her, exactly.
Otherwise, what?
That would have been an interesting 3-hour drive.
I mean, it could go two ways. You're either just not saying anything the whole time, or you talk the whole time. But
Exactly.
okay, cool. You have a lot of experiences, man.
Yeah,
every job at CRO, and then
site level, sponsor, biotech, small biotech. Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. Obviously, Guru After Dark was our brainchild together, kind of, right? And
really yours. I mean, so it was your idea, and I thought it wouldn't work. So I was like, okay, I'm willing to try anything once, man. Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
But a lot of people tuned in.
Yeah, it's been a really successful thing.
And we don't schedule them. It's just like, hey, if you feel like it tonight, it's like
random.
Spontaneous.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, no. And sometimes I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And sometimes Chris is like, no. But we try to get at least 2 or 3 on. That's
Definitely.
why Darshan is like number 4, ish. And now we have 20 others. Yesterday we did it. Where were we sitting?
We were sitting all the way in the back
On the
there.
other side.
Yeah,
I'm
we had
still,
a
like,
we had a
turning around over
sponsor.
here.
It was a sponsored pod. It was great.
Bourbon. I would like to
Yep.
get like an actual sponsor.
That was a local Oklahoma bourbon. It was
actually
really
good.
Yeah.
Who took the bottle?
I did not. I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody took it, but that's
Yeah.
their stuff right there. So Guru After Dark, because like this is where the cold summer reference
Yeah, the
comes
cold
from.
summer shirt came from there
That
as
was
well.
from the job market,
Yep.
because you called the early cracks in the job market. But this, like, I interviewed 2 site owners today so far, and I'm gonna probably do a few more. I haven't left this area really. It applies to sites because from the 2 site owners I interviewed so far, and you hear this a lot as sites, it's feast or famine. Feast or famine, feast or famine. And you gotta weather the storm when it's a famine. Like, in right now, it's a little bit for the sites. We're in between studies. It's a theme going on with a bunch of sites. I think it's a lagging indicator of when you called it.
But you
18
see,
months
Dan,
ago.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
you were like, "Oh no, what are you talking about? We're not feeling anything." And
We're
I'm
feeling
like,
it now,
"Wait
a little
for
bit,
it."
a little bit.
A little bit. It's that
It's like-
trickle down effect,
It's
right?
like it's not a horrible, but we're gonna have like one bad quarter,
sure.
and then but we will weather what the shirt says on the back. Weather the storm till the sun shines again.
That's right.
God willing, luckily, I think June, July, we're gonna get started again with like bread and butter, like
Yeah.
obesity type studies.
Exactly. And
So
once
this shirt applies to a lot of people, site owners or job seekers.
Yeah, and I think once the industry starts to kind of settle down and we understand directions and guidance, there's a lot of good funds out there that there's a lot of money on the sidelines, but I think it's going to open up and it's going to create a lot of opportunity, and the innovation is going to start to resurface again, just like
from the small biotech, and that's really your world now.
It is my world, and I think
have
there's
unique struggle. Like you're talking micro cap, pre-public.
All of
that's
it.
Like your niche.
No approved products. Working on the lean budget, limited resources, trailblazing.
You're such a generalist. You even help them pitch investors and stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually flying to Charlottesville next week to my company, and we're going to be hosting some pretty prominent VCs. They're going to come spend about 3 hours at our office, and our CEO wants a really strong presence. And I've been in front of many panels, and we're making great progress. But yeah, I mean, it's bizarre to see a head of clinical operations kind of
pitching. When you told me that, this was like a year and a half ago, I'm actually meeting with investors. I'm like, this guy's a real generalist.
Yeah.
And no one really asks you, hey, do you have experience doing it? I imagine they just hey, help us do this.
Yeah.
And then you just have to learn it, no?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like that, absolutely.
And this was before AI. Now you can learn it easier.
Just type in some questions. How do I prepare? Right?
Yeah.
But it's really understanding that 360 perspective. I always say this mantra, and it's kind of cliche, but you've heard me say it, Dan, on many of your pods. It's how are you you can't be the chief without being a soldier, and I think sites are our soldiers. They are our frontline warriors, mainly coordinators. I have such a respect for coordinators, and this isn't lip service, Dan. You've heard me say this.
You said this too, Mike. Luis was here. You told him on the plane.
And I've trained your coordinators, right?
You scared the hell out of Katie. She's learned ever since.
And she's now the manager.
You were like a mini Baba Yaga.
At the time, yeah. But that was not my intention, right?
But it was the shitstorm during that time.
It was. We were in a rescue situation. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of time. It was no room for error. We had to really just get things going, and we had no time. But I say that to say the respect that I have for our coordinators is real. I'm not saying this for lip service and for that's so nice. No, I really I mean it, and I think you know that I mean it. And also I feel the same way about our sites. And making sure that these sites have what they need to operate and to be profitable. This isn't a 501c3. I think is important. So today at 2:00, getting ready for this panel.
That's why we have to do this now.
Yeah, we have to do this now, and it's going to be.
I cannot miss that.
That
one.
is
Wait, is that the budget one?
That's the budget one.
That's at 2.
It's
I thought
at
it was
2.
3. Okay,
no, 2.
I gotta be.
And
in there.
There's a splash zone. What that means, I can't reveal.
I gotta sit there.
It's going to be really entertaining. So if you can see the footage of this 2:00 budget panel, I highly recommend it.
The footage will be televised.
It will be.
We don't know where we're going to put it yet. We got to decide as a team, but it's recorded.
It's going to be pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, all things aside, I'm not great with platitudes, as you may have read in the Clinical Leader. I kind of tell it like it is, and it's time for that's what I love about small biotech and pharma is the fact that I have the autonomy to give insight where insight is not available. So many people are prohibited from coming onto podcasts, talking about their experiences for various reasons. And I think it's listen, giving these little knowledge bombs are critical. People who pick up on it, we help people. We've helped place people. People reach out for guidance. And I really do try to give back to the community gratis with my time, because I had many people when I started take me under their wings, not knowing anything. And I still communicate with those people today. Shout out to Ying and Gus.
Wow.
Yeah, so, it's just, it's a full circle, Dan,
But, okay, so working, because a lot of people, when they graduate from the site level, we actually had Alto Neurosciences here. Yeah. They're one of the pretty small market cap. I think it's, with this economy, I think it's 130 million market cap, fairly small. They just went public. They do have some promising things coming up. They don't use a CRO, but they're still small. That's your niche. They hired site level people. Both Jessicas that were here were previous site level experience. Andrea, who was on my panel with AI, site level experience. That's a new place that coordinators can graduate to is the smaller biotechs, but you got to be on your game. It really is a project manager role.
What I'll say is, It's funny. I've been reviewing a lot of CVs from my C levels because they want to grab up these coordinators, and think that they're. I mean, yes, it's possible, but again, I want to be real.
Yeah.
You have to be able to, like to Dan's point, you have to be able to pick up the ball and run with it. I don't have time in my setting to like train side by side. I just don't.
Yeah.
Chris Sauber's joining us. How are you, sir?
Chris
Come on
Supper,
in. Get a little closer. the other member of Guru After Dark.
21st on the rotation on Guru After Dark.
I've heard this repeatedly now. I've been kicked to the curb.
No, he's an integral part.
Yes, man. I found that in the Lust and Found.
Wait, I got more jokes. It's like I'm Coyote.
It was in the Lust and Found. Oh.
You heard that, right?
No, I didn't.
Coyote Ugly?
I know the movie.
You don't know what that means?
No.
I don't know if I should say it then.
Well, maybe we should.
Nah, maybe for another.
Maybe
After
for
Dark.
another one.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
totally
like After
lost
Dark.
my train
one.
of thought. I was on a.
I have a coordinator, and you've helped people that we both know.
Yeah.
We won't mention that.
Oh, Dan, I remember.
Yeah.
Let's back. So the coordinators, right? What I'm trying to say is, in a small team, in a fast-paced setting, you're wearing multiple hats. You've got to really be ready to pick up the ball and run with it. I really just don't have time to coach and kind of walk the path.
Micromanage and all that.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Yeah, I hate micromanaging. If I'm going to have you on the team, you work when you need to work. You work how you want to work. Just get the deliverables done. And that's I hear that all the time. But that's true. That's when you work with me, that's the expectation. But coordinators are really good with detail, documentation, seeing the patients, entering data, but it's transferable in the sense of oversight, knowing what other sites should be doing. So there is some transferability there. But I don't know that it might be the right lateral move from a CRC to a sponsor level unless they do an insourcing model like you just mentioned with Alta.
Which is increasingly becoming more common.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of excitement about working with biotechs. There's a lot of chaos, so it's not the same personality that will work at a structured like Eli Lilly or AstraZeneca, right? You more of a generalist. But with that comes more, stress, mental health is a real concern. Jess Thompson, who's here, this is like her primary focal point for her content is mental health for people that work in the space. Like, it's pretty damn stressful. As a side owner, I think that's more stress than a side owner. As a side owner, once you get through the initial weather the storm, if you don't go crazy with your spending, you're gonna be okay.
The sun's gonna shine again.
Yes, and it's predictable when it will fall.
Yep.
In biotech, you're constantly stressed. Hey, you have to go here now. This site's messing up. Go travel there.
Yeah.
How do you manage mental health? Or you need to go in the pillow fort, man?
The fort helps. It's again cliche, but I think it's a balance, which is not easy. It's much harder than I say it is. But honestly, it's surrounding yourself with great teams. I'm fortunate enough to select what and who I want to work with, and the support structure that I have from Contraline specifically. Shout out to Kevin Eisenfratz. Our team are genuinely great people, and I think Dan, that really helps the mental health aspect of it, because it's look, if I need help, I'm gonna get it. If I can't meet a deadline, and
especially when you're a player you
sure, so I think, but that's part of managing the mental health aspect of the stress that's inherently coming with the job.
Yeah.
Not alcohol.
Not alcohol. No, that's not it.
Chris has a question.
No, not a question.
Oh.
I'm just going to hijack for a moment your pod here. So I'm jealous of your hat.
I
need to know where to get that. I want the same hat. I don't copy you, but
Chris
that one I'm getting.
Chris loves my...
No, not at all. No, I usually don't like your hats. That one I like.
Next door. I'll take you. It closed at 4.
Okay. Sorry to hijack.
Sponsored by I don't even like them. It's just a souvenir.
No, it's a good hat. And I like black, but it has some color in
Yeah.
it. So,
yeah, man.
Again, getting off on topic here.
Well, if you're going, you might as well pick me one up. I'll sell you.
Yeah, dude, get 2 of them.
Yeah.
You want one too?
Yeah, I'll sell you.
One size fits all, so you don't even need to worry about it.
I get a hat from a player in every state or every city I go to.
But they close at 4, so you're gonna have
Oklahoma,
to.
and I'm not gonna get better at the airport.
No.
You're gonna have to go right away to the around the corner.
And we're actually staring at the Paycom Center, so it's
Paycom
literally
Center right there.
Right there.
So the mental health, like that's the part where a lot of people get hung up on, and the kind of Guru After Dark is in a way to vent. I mean, it is to help people, but it's also like in many ways sometimes self-therapy.
For me too. I mean, it's therapy.
I
for
mean,
me.
we drink a little, like
it's just it's a non-formal.
It's a release valve.
Sit up straight and hold them. Just be very, very, very. No, and I think our viewers of that pod enjoy the content. I mean, there isn't a single episode where I don't come back and get some sort of, that was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It's just a refreshing take, and sometimes we riff on research, and sometimes we don't.
Sometimes. Well, Darshan always loses followers when he joins it, and you always gain them.
I do.
By the way, has anyone seen Darshan today?
I have not seen him today.
I haven't seen
Darshan is MIA.
Darshan, where are you?
I know where he is.
We need a Where's Waldo.
I know where he is. No, I'm not going to
Oh.
We need a Where's Waldo t-shirt for Darshan, not Brad.
Yep.
I mean, Rob, you like your site advocate, Save Our Sites. The
Second year in a row.
second year, there's a lot of consolidation. There's a lot of AI. One guy, the certified PI in AI, said AI is like an organism, like kind of morphing itself into every tool and just becoming.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So it's in a way it's easier for sponsors to interact, especially smaller ones. Like we talked about Alto. That's why I invited them here. I think they're a good model for that. They take control of their studies.
Who's Bree with?
Viva.
Diva, okay. She hit me up about a half an hour ago and said, "Oh, I can't wait for your next conference." I said, "Well, I don't know. There's going to be a next." And she said, "What?" And she was like, "Okay, that's not happening. I will make sure of it." So
Did they sponsor this year?
I don't know. Did they?
They have a booth.
Okay, then they did. So Bree said, "No, there's no way this is not happening. Whoever I need to talk to, I'm talking to. Who is it?" And I said, "Well, you can start with Dan."
Because
Thank you, man.
they just launched a site basics tool, which is really cool. So I'm all about it. Anyways,
But it's all about the small biotechs being able to communicate with their own sites instead of having the middleware of CROs and all the bloat. That's bloatware.
right.
That's bloat. Andrew's here to discuss this too. I mean, this guy.
You're just getting bombed with new people.
Middleware. This
Yeah,
is his frame. This is his game.
I'm supposed to be saying goodbye and heading off to the airport, but I'll have a little chat about AI. And for small biotechs,
You're not staying for my panel?
I'm
It's the
sorry.
next one.
I would love
I'll
to.
He's gonna
tape it and
strip.
text you though.
Hey, he's taking his clothes off on stage.
I'll
You gotta
video
be
it.
there.
That is absolutely untrue.
I'll wait
That
for
is
the
untrue.
I'll wait for the recording.
It'll be
with
grainy, but I'll send you mine.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna be in the splash zone.
But
You know why I want
the
to.
thing about what's fundamentally there was this famous hat.
Nah, just a thunder, but I can't give it away.
No.
Middle bloatware.
What you used to see, and especially in my space, in clinical technology and drug safety technology, was that small pharma companies got left behind. Like the Bayers, the Pfizers, the Novartises of the world had money to invest in technologies and would implement these multi-million-dollar projects. Some worked great, some didn't work great. It's a whole separate story, but as a smaller biotech, you would rely on a service provider like a CRO to provide you with the technology along with the services because you couldn't invest in the technology yourself. Often that meant that then you were at arm's length from your data and the insights that come from it. You were charged for accessing your data, and also you could be held hostage by your data. And data migrations are expensive. You know all about this.
that.
Yeah.
Why do you think when the vendors say this is a symbiotic relationship, it's actually sounds like a nice word. It's actually bad. If you're a site, that means they're going to control you. If you're a sponsor, that means they have the same opportunity to control you that you have to them, which is actually not fair because you're the one paying them.
That's right.
And I think what's happening with AI is that, and especially what we're doing with AI agents, is it's starting to become more about outcomes. And I don't need a 3-month proof of concept to be able to demonstrate value. and it's about implementing AI and then turning the tap on and choosing how much you want to keep turning that tap, rather than I need to spend millions just to get started.
Yeah.
And that is crucial for whatever use case you're trying to go after. And AI becomes integrated. It's like AI as a service, like micro SaaS companies, almost, or like an intern on your team, and you decide kind of which of the pieces where I'm relying on a vendor to do that, or which of the pieces maybe I'm tooling myself using some of the models and what's available out there. I think it also makes IT departments scared, but in the same way, there are some really amazing things that they can do that can really help the business, and they're best to understand and to care about your business, your patients, your drugs, and all the rest. So I think a lot of the kind of traditional roles are shifting somewhat. But it's also the pace of change, and how do we deal with that, and how do we account for anything that we spend a lot of money and time on now in 2 years or a year from now might be obsolete, or something's radically changed.
Andrew, I think, the only constant in our industry is change.
That's true.
I mean, it's slower.
Yeah.
It's slower.
I gotta say something to that. So my biggest complaint in this industry, by far, bar none, is the fact that there are no standards. Right? That's just corroborating what you're saying. There are no standards from sponsor to sponsor. Everything.
Every study thinks they're special.
Yes,
Every company has their Yes.
Not just that, but there are rules, right? Just to anything in particular, right? This is how we handle it. This is our SOPs. Then you go on to the next sponsor, and it's changed. It's different, and it's like, okay, well, we're not the last sponsor. We're this sponsor. You're contracted with us. You do it our way, and it pisses me off.
So how do you budget for that? How do you know, like, if this is the way that I'm used to doing it, and somebody else comes along and asks you to do a study, but they're asking you to do it slightly differently?
Exactly.
How do you account for that, and training your staff to do it a different way? And
exactly.
Well, and then you get something new, like paradigm changing, like AI, and then
and
everything you've established is over. Like it changes.
And then
in a
every other
different way.
sponsor's using AI to a different effect or a different on a different feature.
And then 20 years till
and
the
it's
next
all
thing.
changing. And the site has to incorporate all of these changes all of the time. It's really a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and that's why we need some sort of constant, some consistency. Alcoa, consistency.
Should have brought your hat.
I have it in my bag. It's just in the bell check right now. Ugh. Anyways,
It's got a
but
company called Alcoa. Is it -C?
no, it's alcoaconsulting.com. Yeah.
Alcoa Consulting. Yeah, we have to plug that.
Yep. But anyways, yeah, I agree. I love the fact that AI is here to stay. I don't think it's the flavor of the month. I really don't.
It's not blockchain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Not the flavor of the month either necessarily. Bitcoin's the standard. At this
Yes.
point.
it is
Yes,
absolutely, and
yes.
it's got. Yeah, we don't want to digress into that. But the point is, what I'm trying to
Not a
say.
meme coin, sorry.
No,
What-
it's
what
not
I'm- what I'm trying to
it's
say
gonna
is
be
I think-
ubiquitous.
Yeah, I think that what your companies are going to be able to do for me is I am absolutely going to return to an FSP model. I'm going to absolutely stop using the FSO model. I got to bring as much as I can internally back under my control because incentives are misaligned. I've said that like a broken record.
You can't
on all of
outsource
these.
oversight.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like between CROs and unless they have skin in the game, which oftentimes they not often, they don't have skin in the game.
Technologies, man. Shout out to Akivia, the sponsor.
Yeah.
They're cool. They're actually one of the better ones.
I met actually, well, this was about site basics and kind of they offer this tool where they allow sponsors like us to kind of integrate all of the systems into a single pane of view. And it does help in the sense that I don't have to rely on a CRO to give me access or give me a report or wait. I can kind of do everything myself.
Listen, Ikea, I give CRO shit. You do too. You do more than me. They're one of the ones that weather the storm. Like, they actually are with the times. And that's
But I
function
spent-
of being one of the
Andrew
big
has nice
ones.
things to say about Akivia.
Oh,
I spent a decade
I was there
Dan,
for 5 years
blood,
building
sweat, and tears.
technology, and I went to IQVIA after being at Viva, who are a technology company. And all I can say, like, there are a lot of good people at IQVIA, and IQVIA are a
Of
beast
course.
in our industry. They add a lot of value, okay? But, you and I have spoken about this before. If you are building technology and you are trying to build tech and you are not a tech company, you are a services company, it makes everything harder. Whether it's as simple as just attracting talent and having the right comp plan and how you reward people with stock or whatever, to the processes and the culture of what it takes to build software. It's harder if you're not a tech company. And it's even harder more if you are trying to build tech for a market in which you are already competing in as a service provider, because you just cut your TAM in half, because the other service providers that you compete with are less inclined to help you be successful with the tech that you're building. And whether that's because you're trying to sell to them, or is whether because they're going to end up being the end users, because the sponsors that you sell to will have one of your competitors using your system. If you are completely separate, it's not saying it can't be done, but it's harder.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. What's the price? What's the fee? What's the a lot of the things.
They don't like the ones like Kivia.
Well, the truth of the matter is, look, to Andrew's earlier point, a lot of the earlier adaptations of tech, spending millions and millions of dollars on this, we are so, even now today, I've talked to AI companies. We are absolutely priced out of the technology.
Yeah.
And so it's got to be creative. So, whether it's a subscription model, it's a per study model, whether it's a volume model.
You want to pay for outcomes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you don't want a huge barrier to entry.
Exactly, and that's a problem for me. I'm telling you, Andrew. Like that is the barrier to entry for me is cost driven. You might have the best, fanciest tool, but I just simply I can't afford it.
Yeah, the metrics has to make sense.
They have to make sense.
There's got to be a business case. Yeah.
If I can take a CRO budget and I can remove line items and reduce the budget and refunnel those dollars towards an efficient agent that creates value.
But you need the transparency into what those line items in that budget are in the first place.
Well, I have that transparency.
Yeah.
I can look at a budget right now on this live, and I could say, I can take from this, and this, summate that value, and now I have a budget.
I've literally been on calls where he does this.
I do this. I'm like, look, I can literally all right, I have now just siphoned out $400,000.
Like that.
What can I do with it now? Right?
Yeah.
And in terms of my C-suite, they're like, look, this is the budget. So what you do with it, like, sure, I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
But if I can make some efficiencies and become more risk averse than I already am, and de-risk my program by implementation of tech that I don't have an entry to, I'm not debarred by entering it, then I'm already a leg up. Absolutely. And I don't need all the bells and whistles that these CROs are offering me that don't work, that they aren't doing. They're billing for me for it anyways.
They look great in a slide, but in reality, with real world data.
No, they don't even look good in the slide. Yeah. The dashboards are terrible. They don't even look good. Like, make it look pretty at least. I'm not going to. No, they don't look good, Andrew. But on the other hand, it's like when you're with this FSO model, it's like, well, it is what it is, right? And then I'm putting all my eggs in a single basket, not hedging my bet whatsoever, and I'm hoping they're going to do the right thing and perform. And by the way, Dan, I have a question for you. As you're on your phone, I love that.
Yeah, they were asking where's the missing box.
Yeah, but my question... Oh, no, they're never going to find that.
That would give it.
Why should we incentivize CROs by doing what they're telling us that they're going to do when we agree on a budget?
Well, okay.
Like, for example, we get a bonus if we hit this milestone, and we get penalized if we don't. It's like, wait a minute.
Because
aren't you supposed to be the experts?
It's not predictable for them.
But it needs to be.
That's what they want. They're huge. Look at Kivia's market cap. Look at the smaller ones. They're just as big, almost. What do you think about the cost plus model? I think that's not very good either.
My mantra, like my new thing, this is not like a Scope plug, of course. This is an SOS thing, but I was at Scope, and 50% of the people do, 50% of the people don't. But those who do are high level. They're not my front lines.
All right, you guys got me into it. I want to go over here and get a hat.
Like, subscribe, comment, share. Did you get a Cold Summer shirt?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
Dan, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Robert.
Always.
Everybody go follow Robert Goldman right now. LinkedIn is underneath. And come on, Guru After Dark. We'll
see you there.
You got to follow him to find out about it. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Chris.
Always
Thank you,
welcome.
Andrew.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Mic drop. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.